Hello, and welcome to the second of 3 videos in this series titled, The Stages of Spiritual Awakening. In this episode, we will look at the often talked about concept of the dark night of the soul, explain what it really signifies beneath the big words and complex concepts, and point you in the direction of the things this stage is asking of you, and what you can do to meet that request in a way that will speed up your progress. The way this video is scripted will cut to the chase and is practically useful to the novice and advanced adept alike. Before we continue, I hope you have diligently asked and answered the questions that the first stage, aka the wake-up call, raised in your journal. Good, let's dive in. The dark night of the soul, though known to ancient mystics for centuries, was first summarized into a tangible modern concept by St. John of the Cross in the 16th century AD. As a reminder of how old this concept really is, in the midst of immense wealth, Gautama, later called the Buddha, is known to have left his father's palace, forsaken the throne, and gone on an adventure even he could not explain in words, but knew just had to be done, to set his inner soul free in the truest sense of the word. Such is the power of this stage to shake the foundations of what we think matters at any point in time. In addition, and to benefit our scientifically minded mystics, young and old, modern trauma-informed spirituality and shadow work principles from Jungian psychology have all confirmed that indeed for a human being to totally unfold on all levels, including spiritually in the truest sense of the word, this stage is inevitable. This stage is called the dark night of the soul. Its outward connotations of depression and despair are not entirely out of place. However, they can and have often carried or imposed a sense of dread or helplessness on the seeker, whenever, directly or indirectly, they realize that their quest for spiritual evolution has thrust them into this battlefield. I urge you to look beyond the acknowledged depression or despair and entertain a mindset to admit that it is more than that. It's also a spiritual purification. If despair and discomfort give rise to a purified soul, then it may just be like taking a bitter pill momentarily by a sick individual in order to restore permanent, long-term health. That's the gift of this video, this unusual way to look at a usual issue. This is our unique flavor on this channel, and thanks for joining us. What is the operating dynamic of this purification? Although the details of the signs and symptoms will come later in the video, it basically involves a stripping away of ego-founded illusions, false identities, and attachments. This leaves the person feeling lost, abandoned, and spiritually dry. Yes, it seems like the end of the road, but hidden beneath that despondency is often an unseen precursor to profound transformation. For after stripping comes rebuilding. Travel this road with this understanding, and you will never go astray. In the life of every aspirant for spiritual evolution, regardless of whether that aspiration registers in their conscious mind or just exists as an inner subconscious soul-powered yearning, a time comes when his old ego-based ways, and what the blueprint of divine law plus love, aka God, had in mind for that particular incarnation come into conflict. At this point, the question of peaceful coexistence between divine law and ego is not possible. One must give way to the other. Old and new must do battle. This battle, which takes place in the life of the seeker, is one regarding which they must eventually choose a side to commit the real estate of their hearts to. This is because, though the two forces exist within them, neither is the actual ruler. They live at the pleasure of the seeker, though not at the same level of power at any point in time. Please rewind and listen again. They do not coexist at the same level of power at the same time. You, the seeker, are the landlord of the space they seek to plant themselves in permanently. And it is your final decision which tenant you will accommodate and allow to dominate. The background is that you have mostly or only known one of these tenants, your ego, for most of your life. Its word has been law in your life and you have let it reign supreme, because this was the accepted norm, as dictated by your parents, peers, media, and anyone else in society whose approval you needed to get, from birth until this moment. The dilemma is that, now there is another tenant staking a claim to this real estate. But the question is why? Let us find out. So this new tenant, your soul, is actually the very reason your consciousness came alive on this side of the divide. This tenant came with an already existing blueprint, which it sought and obtained from divine law, plus love, also known as God, for you to be evolved and transformed by on a long-term basis, approved before time began and free of trivial priorities. But because it is to happen in the realm of time, soul had to wait and allow ego to secure you onto a footing that allows your flesh, the vehicle by which soul comes into this planet, to be adequately nourished and rooted, either by your family, religion, job, status, position, and so on. These were rooting tools, but these are not who you are. In waiting for you, the seeker, to really take root on earth, your soul personality lay quiet for many years to allow this acclimatization, but was never forgetful of that blueprint. Maybe you did. Louis forgot he was a soul before being a father to his late daughter. And the daughter, no matter how much he loved her, will die one day, young or old. Perhaps he was under the fatherly illusion that he had control of the divine plan of his daughter's actual lifespan on Earth and could dictate when and how her mission should go, when unfortunately, he is not in control of his own. Susan is immersed in being an ideal mother because she can't remember that she was a soul on many missions before she was a mother. Ego had made her believe that controlling every detail of the unfolding of her daughter's lives was her sole mission on Earth. But as they grew, she found they contained more questions than her limited knowledge of the entire picture could answer. Brian, the plastic surgeon, dove into his practice and was immersed in the worldly accolades, hoping they would fill his soul's void for its true mission, but these things didn't. These activities, roles, and vocations were part of the blueprint of their lives, but only as rooting elements. Much like a spaceship's legs, landing on an external planet is not the mission. The mission blueprint is carried by the astronauts within the craft. Well, so it happens that in the fullness of time, Soul requested to be heard and entertained, and for her blueprint to be entrenched as the active one in your life. Sure that her blueprint and purpose were, well, superior in their intentions for you, the seeker. First she requested gently, then forcefully. Ego resisted as it always does, and in the fullness of time, battle was inevitable. And the soul was ready. She has fought many like these before now. Enter the dark night. The soul, stronger than the ego, for she carries the scepter of divine authority, sought to take her place by imposing the following necessary disruptive elements onto your, quote and unquote, comfortable ego-powered routine. She even went as far as intensifying them where they existed to a lesser degree, especially if you had failed to take the gentle initial hint and prodding during the stage of the wake-up call. Since your inner being is the ground for the battle for supremacy of these two potent forces, you began to experience intense inner turmoil and confusion, as well as a feeling of being spiritually lost or abandoned, right inside you. Old coping mechanisms increasingly failed to provide answers. Shadow aspects of the self like latent anger, pride, irritability, and impatience now emerged, seeking attention and resolution, perhaps to sway you from the core event that's ongoing, perhaps to intensify its deeper meaning and expose the ego's manipulation. Soul couldn't care less. For her, any false foundation must be uprooted. No more, no less. You increasingly questioned old patterns of faith and beliefs with rising intensity of voice and actions. A feeling of being completely disconnected from meaning, God, or your former sense of self. You experienced deep emotional pain without a clear cause. You felt like isolating and withdrawing from society more and more, with recurring existential thoughts and a feeling of wanting to just drop out or disappear, while secretly looking for that one person who just gets it. Your life spiraled lower and into the despair of the night. Physical symptoms like sleep disruption, energy fluctuations, heightened sensitivity, and depression quadrupled in intensity. Unexplainable fatigue ensued as energy was diverted more and more inwards, and your body felt heavy, exhausted, or tense with no medical cause. At this stage, you're contemplating ejecting the old tenant, your ego, and letting out your spiritual real estate to the new one who has triggered these searching questions. The ego and old structures no longer have ready answers to help you cover up and move on. The choice looms larger with each passing day. It seems a difficult choice, or maybe it really isn't. In any case, we will simplify the dilemma here for the new seeker, and even the old one who wishes to be reminded. Let us open our soul journey diary one more time, and write down these searching and relevant questions. Do I accept that my old foundations of thought and behavior are impossible to carry in my long-term spiritual evolution? What ego-powered parts of myself have I been brought to face that I still resist or deny and try to justify? How well have these cover-ups and denials worked, if at all? How do these aspects of myself manifest in my relationships, my method of reasoning, or my patterns of navigating through each day? How have I enjoyed these illusions? And now that I have realized they have no place in my life long-term, am I ready to confront and reject them? What will it cost me in the eyes of those whose opinions I value so much to drop these false personas and adopt an authentic version of myself where I do not need to act a part to be accepted? Am I ready to not care about how this new version of me will be accepted by my former admirers and support structure, be they parents, peers, religion, or social group? Can I accept the short-term regulations that this new soul journey will impose on me in the interest of my long-term spiritual growth? What limiting beliefs am I going to be forced to confront to achieve this new beginning, and am I ready? Dear friend, these are the most basic questions anyone in the dark night of the soul should ask themselves and answer honestly. These are free of jargon, complex terminologies, rituals, and frills. The young or old seeker alike will benefit immensely from these questions, the probing lights they shed, and the answers that will be revealed. These answers will set the tone for the third stage if the exercise is honestly undertaken. Again, like I said in the first video, this is where the real work begins. But a note of caution. Do not expect an easy walkover with your entrenched ego patterns. You may find yourself returning to them as pillars of support when you lose guard and awareness. After all, they have been your only pillars for many years. Do not despair. The fact that you observe this weakness weakens it more. Just keep trying, sincerely, daily. It may take some time, but you will gradually see your new, authentic self emerge. The good news is that Stage 3 shows you how to integrate everything you have learned. The battleground is inside your being. Will your soul win? Or will your ego continue its misleading mission? The answer lies with you. I only plead that you engage this stage honestly. It is not a doomsday scenario as some would want you to believe. The length of time you spend here is inversely proportional to the speed with which you surrender to the sacred and divine plan. After all, it is the love that gave you life in the first place. And your soul is its messenger and true representative on earth. The choice is yours, but bear this solemn truth in mind. The dark night of the soul is not a punishment, it is an initiation, a doorway to a more authentic reality, free from all the false foundations. You're not losing yourself, you're losing who you are not, to let who you really are emerge. And on the other side, the light is not just returning, you are becoming the light, you are coming home. This may be the simplest way this grueling stage of spiritual evolution has been explained to you. Still, I urge you to not take this simplicity lightly. If you apply your spirit in truth, much more will be revealed to you. The divine draws nearer as sincerity in seeking increases. If you're getting value from our efforts, kindly like, share, and subscribe to this channel. It's just a click, and we will feel encouraged to do more. If you desire a video on how to navigate out of this phase quickly, please comment "navigate" in the comment box below. Until our next video, continue with the sincere journaling, introspection, and weeding out the tares from the wheat of your lives. As well, remain renewed and blessed on all levels.